Let's get it on.
Hello and welcome to the One-Eyed Fan, where we discuss AFL topics from a biased perspective. Tonight, we will be announcing our 3-2-1 votes for the best and worst performances of Week 1 in the finals and the award they will be vying for, based on the polls on our Facebook page. Thanks for all your contributions. We'll then discuss the most controversial event of the weekend, the free kick awarded Luke Schuey in the dying moments, resulting in the game-winning goal. And to finish, we'll grab the panel's tips for this week's game and grand final and premiers. With me is Grillsy, the Reformed Eagle.
G'day, Grillsy.
Langers, the unbiased Pie.
G'day, AFL legends.
Buffer, who only sees black and white.
Greetings, sports fans.
And Bomber Bates, who bleeds red and black.
Hello there, continuing the comeback story.
I'm a fit man. I'll support the greatest team of all. After some controversial selections for worst performer of the weekend, we created a poll for you to voice your opinion. And to announce the One-Eyed Fans' worst ever finals performance contenders, and the name of the award that no self-respecting player wants is the Reformed Eagle, Grillsy.
Okay, everybody. It's the award nobody wants, but we're all waiting to hear who won. And, of course, in an absolute landslide in the first week of the finals, the big mummy, Shane Mumford, in the GWS, was the 3 votes. Paddy Ryder got the 2 votes. And Jeremy Cameron, even though he was injured early in the game, managed the 1 vote. And I'm proudly going to announce that the name of the award will be the Meatloaf Award for the worst performed player in a final series.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Grillsy. I'm sure we'll agree that was a terrible performance and fitting of having it remembered by this soon-to-be prestigious award. There are some great nominations for our greatest finals performances of all time, apart from Nathan Buckley, obviously. Langers, can you reveal the name of the award for us and the other contenders?
Yeah, look, I think Bucks is a bit stiff not to win that one, but look, the vote goes to the people, and the people have spoken. Now, for Mr. September, coming in at number 3, polling 2 votes, the Norm Smith medal-winning performance that didn't win a Norm Smith, Mr. Bradley Sewell. Then followed by, in second place with a total of 3 votes, the man who actually won the Norm Smith, Luke Hodge. But dare I say, and I think there's been a little bit of tampering with the voting here, but the number 1 finals performance, Mr. September, with 6 votes, goes to Jimmy Bartell.
Oh,
as the Jimmy.
Yeah. You and your family there, Brian?
No, these were all unknowns. Don't know who they were.
That's the unofficial. We'll go for a recount, as is company policy. But for the weekend finals, judging by the performances, we've actually got quite a few ties here. Coming in tied at 3, we've got Drew Petrie, Eddie Betts, and of course the controversial man of the week, Luke Schuey. In second place, we've got a tie between Charlie Dixon and Dean Prestia, but clearly out in front, the People's Choice with a staggering 23 votes, Dustin the Man Martin. So the people have spoken. Okay, awesome. So for our leaderboard at the moment, we have Shane Mumford leading the Meatloaf Award, and Dusty Martin leading the Jimmy Bartell Award. Thanks. All right. So in every final series, there are some moments that are etched into the memory of every one-eyed fan. And on the weekend, Luke Shuey's goal after the siren to keep the Eagles' final chances alive were what childhood dreams were made of. So first up to discuss his favourite finals moment is the man who sees in black and white, Buffer. Take it away.
Okay, guys, I put a lot of thought into this one, and quick honourable mention to Paul Acuria's 40-possession game in the 2002 qualifying final when Bucks was injured.
Outstanding.
Swanee's coming-of-age game in the 2007 semi-final against West Coast. The Pies won in extra time. But at number 2, I've gone for Gavin Brown's famous goal in the third quarter of the 1990 Grand Final. It was a gutsy effort after being KO'd by that filthy animal Terry Danaher in the famous quarter-time brawl. It was also a watershed moment. After 32 years of heartbreak, it was the moment that put us about 6 goals up, and most Pies fans realised that the drought was about to end. So that's my number 2. Number 1, and I'm sure this is quite predictable for most Pies fans, I've gone for Heath Shaw's smother against the hapless Nick Riewoldt in the 2010 Grand Final replay. It was 10 minutes into the first quarter, but all nerves were completely gone. We're only up by a couple of goals, but I knew right then, along with every other Pies fan in the MCG, that we were destined to win that game, and I think the players knew as well. The Pies went on to destroy the Saints. It's given me a gift in a lifetime of mockery towards Saints fans. It'll never be forgotten, especially by them, as long as I live, because I'll keep bringing it up. So they're my 2 favourite finals moments.
Thanks, Buffer. Quite one-eyed and expected. Righto, Bomber, what do you got for us?
Now it's hard to top that one, but look, my 2 go to not big name players at the Bombers, but important players and loved by all the supporters. I go back to 2000. We played North Melbourne in the qualifying final. Beat them by 20-plus goals. Matthew Lloyd kicks his 100th goal. But Joe Masiti from the midfield had 40-plus stats and kicked 4 goals and absolutely ran rings around him. Peter Bell and the boys couldn't keep up that day. It was an absolute 4-quarter performance in one of the biggest finals wins that we've ever had when we smashed North. And we owed them for missing out on 99, I reckon. So that was good to get that one back on them. My second one goes back to even a little bit further back to when I was a young fella, and when the Bombers were down at 3-quarter time against the Hawks in the quarter-final final, it looked like back-to-back for the Hawks, who were a juggernaut. But Leon Baker kicking the first goal, the last quarter, that blind turn to get us going into to pile on, or it was an avalanche really, 9 goals in the last quarter to storm home and win comfortably in the end, and set up the first of our back-to-back in 1984. So they're my 2 favourite ones.
Awesome. Thanks, Bomber. Langers, your turn.
Boys, look, I've got to give honourable mention once again to Heath Shaw. Inspirational, determined, selfless act. The things grand finals are made of. But look, I've got to give it up to a man. Now, look, I like a hot dog as much as the next man, unless that next man is Stuart Dew. Now, for the first half of the 2008 Grand Final against the Cats, it was barely noticed until he popped up 5 minutes to go in the third quarter to bag a couple of goals and set up another to absolutely destroy the Cats' chances of going back-to-back. Brilliant moment. But my number 1 moment in finals history, this is a little bit against the grain, but it's actually the old Sherrin. Now, if you remember quite rightly, there was a moment in the 2010 drawn grand final where Stevie Milne was running into the pocket, and the good old Sherrin has turned more than Warney at the Adelaide Oval 90 degrees and has absolutely robbed him of a goal that surely would have put St Kilda in front and on their way to a premiership. Now, that was absolutely special in my opinion, and they are my 2 favourite moments.
Thanks, Slangers. Stuart Dew still gives me nightmares. I can give you the tip. All right, Gilsey, Mount West Coast tragic. What have you got for us?
Oh, well, my greatest finals moments I have to think long and hard about, and I had to go all the way back in time to last Saturday night with Luke Schuey kicking that wonderful goal after the siren there in extra time. Never before done in finals history, by the way. Just thought I'd drop that one in there. That was my obvious number 1, and the other one I had to go a little further back in time. A man called Dennis Cometti etched this one into a bit of history in the 1992 Grand Final with Peter Wilson kicking a goal over his head. I do believe the words were, "like a cock in the ocean." And that's just stuck with me for life, that one. That sort of signalled the end to Geelong. They were holding on, and their handbag, they were a bit frayed on the edges at that stage, and the handbags all snapped and fell apart after that goal. So that's my 2 best finals moments.
Thanks, Derby. Yeah, that moment gives me nightmares still as well. All right. So with Geelong having rarely missed the finals in the AFL era, I'm blessed to have so many. Now, the last year's final against the Hawks, our great rival, was hilarious. Isaac Smith lining up for goal after the siren to win the game for the Dorks. Looks over at his teammates, smugly smiles like a typical Hawthorn arrogant flog.
Oh, he did too.
To be now forever known as Isaac Miss. And then let's take you back to the greatest preliminary final in the AFL era, where a rampaging King Carey was making a mockery of the Geelong defence. However, deep into the dying seconds of the game, Lee Tudor scrambles a kick over the top of a desperate McMartin, where it lands in the hands of God. Yeah, Gary coolly goes back and slots the goal, putting Geelong to another grand final. Our finals favourite moments of the AFL era. All right, now let's say a bit more serious, and it's probably the week's biggest controversy. Dermot Brereton has come out this week criticising the decision in the final seconds of the West Coast Eagles Port Adelaide final, suggesting Luke Schuey ducked. Mark Williams jumped on this bandwagon and said the decision nearly made him vomit. Talk radio has been filled with irate Port supporters across the country. Is Derby right? Are the Port supporters justified, or are they just a bunch of whinging sooks? Bomber, what are your thoughts?
Well, looking at this impartially, if I was a Port supporter, I would be ropeable, no doubt about it. But looking at the vision, I think Luke Schuey played it really well. I think the onus has got to be on the tackler. I didn't get the tackle right, mate, and the Eagles have perfected it. Joel Selwood's perfected it. They stand up in the tackle, then they roll the shoulder, the arm rolls over the top of the neck, and it's right in front of the umpire. So I think well played to Luke Schuey. It was an important one late in the game. He executed it perfectly, but I still say it's the tackler's fault. The tackler should have got lower, and the onus is on him to complete the tackle correctly, which he didn't do. So I'm sorry, Port fans. You'll just have to think about it for 6 months.
Thanks, Bob. Righto. Now we have a buffer. What have you got for us? What's your opinion on Luke Schuey? Did he duck?
Yeah, BC, I've got to agree with Bomber on this one. To be honest, I think Choco Williams is smoking some serious drugs. I can't believe this is even an issue. I think that's been a high tackle for 100 years of footy, and he certainly didn't duck. I think it's typical of the whinging of the Port Adelaide footy fans. I've been over there for a game, and they are dead set. Some of the worst fans in the competition. Certainly didn't duck, and I don't think it was a Selwood special either. I think it was just a high tackle, and they've just got to wear it. So suck it up, Port fans.
Thanks, Buffer. Righto, our unbiased pie. I'm sure you've got a balanced opinion here, mate.
Look, I've looked at this extensively, and look, what we're taught, the moment you come into serious points football is when you go for a bump or you're about to hit contact, you lead with the hip, you strike with the shoulder, and you naturally lift up the elbow to create some separation. And that's all Luke Schuey has done. He's attacked the ball. Pollock has tried to come in with these bloody Inspector Gadget arms. Just doesn't have the strength. And when they make contact, Schuey has just bumped his arm. And, of course, Pollock not having control has ridden up, and it was a clear high tackle. So I think that free kick was absolutely justified. Port and all their supporters are once again trying to hide the fact that they are September choke artists.
Yeah, agreed. I think I know what Grills he's going to say, so our reformed Eagle is going to give us his opinion. Let it rip.
Well, I'm just staring at a bucket here, and I'm wondering if I should send it over to Choco Williams so he can fill it up, because he's got a lot of vomiting to do. I've watched that game 18 times already, and 19 times, that's not a duck. I'm sorry, Choco, you were wrong.
Thanks, Grillsy. Right, now Dermot, this has been a bugbear of yours over the last 5 or 6 years, in particularly referencing Joel Selwood. Your complaint is that players are taught to tackle around the arms to pin the arms on the ball and is unfair if the tackle slips up. Now, if you have muppet arms and can't hold your tackle around the arms without slipping over the shoulder, hit the gym. Or if that doesn't work, change your technique and hit the hips. There are an average of up to 65 to 85 tackles per game, only 6 or 7 per week, and those being generous are awarded too high. Secondly, the game has evolved so much. Defenders of old were instructed, man up. Now you defend areas and blades of grass, mostly due to the genius of Paul Roos and Alistair Clarkson. If these changes to traditional tactics can be implemented, surely adjusting your tackling technique to ensure a legal tackle is not beyond coachable. So stop sooking, Dermot. Stop being a drama queen, Choco, and support supporters. If your mob had it kicked straight, the opportunity would not have presented itself, so suck it up. Well, I think it's pretty unanimous there from the one-eyed fan. It was a ridiculous commentary from the media. And so now nearly out of time, fellas, and can I quickly get your tips for this weekend? Our grand finalists and premiers. Bomber, first up.
Yep. Look, I like the Giants this week. Sorry, Grillsy. I don't think they'll put in two bad ones, especially hosting at home. I think the Eagles will test them for sure, but I just expect the Giants to respond this week and get the job done. I like the Swans to beat the Cats as well. I just think they are going brilliantly at the moment. Obviously saw what they did to my mob on the weekend, and they just don't stop. They don't look like they're going to put a foot wrong at the moment. They hardly have an injury on their list and are just going beautifully. But I think that's where it ends for the Swans. I'm predicting Adelaide to host the Swans in the prelim and get past them, and I expect the Tigers to play the Giants and get through to their first grand final since 1982. And the Crows are the premiers for mine, boys. I think they've been fantastic all year. I think their offensive weapons are just too strong. They score 100 points a week. And even last week when they played their final, they were restricted by the Giants to about 88 points or 89 points, I think it was, and it was still enough to get the job done. So I'm predicting that the Cup's going to South Australia this year, lads, unfortunately. So that's my tip.
Thanks, Bomber. Grillsy.
My tips this weekend are the Giants. Unfortunately, I think the West Coast have had a bit of a fairy tale run of late with their last two unbelievable victories. Sydney Swans will take care of Geelong. I don't think Geelong's ever beaten Sydney in a finals game, so that's just a lay down as air, really, that one. And then the grand finalists will be Swans and Tigers and a cracking granny, and unfortunately I think Sydney's going to take it away with their cola and beer and whatever they do up there.
Thanks, mate. Buffer.
Yeah, boys, I've got to agree with the Giants. I can't see them losing at home against a gallant West Coast side. They might test them, but I think the Giants will be too good. And like 99.99% of the footy world, I think Sydney are going to smash Geelong this week. I think the Cats haven't got a hope in hell. It's one of the tougher sides in the comp versus one of the softest. And I think the Cats are going out in straight sets. The grand finalists, I think, I agree with Bomber. I think Adelaide will play Richmond in the big one. But unlike Bomber, I think the mighty Tigers might carry this form through with that insane pressure and remind us all that their fans are actually a bunch of ferals. So that's my
Langers.
Look, dare I say it, I actually think the Cats are going to bounce back this week. 3/4 of their team never got out of first gear on the weekend. So I reckon they'll come in for a resounding victory and upset some Swans that I've already got some text messages to a few mates on the ready. I think the Giants will get up over the West Coast Eagles. But for me, it's going to be an all feline grand final. But I think it's going to be rain and black and yellow on the day.
Thanks, Langers. For me, the Cats to bounce back against Sydney Swans and create history and beat them for the first time, if that is correct, Simon. I'd like to look that up, but if that is correct, the Cats to bounce back. West Coast just will fall short. I think they played their most important game. The emotion reigned, and I don't have much left. And then the Cats will proceed through to the grand final against the Tigers. Last weekend was a blip on a radar of 30 years of dominance, and the Cats will bounce back and smash them in the grand final. Okay, thank you, gents. And thanks, viewers, for watching. Do you agree with our biased opinions? Either way, we would love your feedback. So please leave a comment below. And if you'd like to hear more from the One-Eyed Fan, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our Facebook page. We'll be back next week for more biased views. And as we say here at the One-Eyed Fan, if you're not one-eyed, you're not a fan.